Welcome back into the College Chaos Podcast. Garrett, Ross, Jack Mackenzie here with you. And we were going to get into our favorite games, our best games that we saw from the 2022 season, but due to time constraints, we're going to save that for next week because we want to try to really get in a basketball segment every time. And we've really dove heavy in the Big 12, and rightfully so. It's the hands down the best conference in America when it comes to college basketball on the men's side, and the women's side is really starting to get that way as well. I mean, the SEC is solid on the women's side, but you're starting to see more parity there as well. But let's do that. Let's talk a little SEC basketball, Jack. And there's been a lot of good games. There's been a lot of intriguing storylines. The one team that's really stuck out to me the most has been the issues at Kentucky with Calipari and Oscar Tshiebwe calling the team out. And I know they got a big win last night against Georgia, but overall, when you look at this conference, man, what's really standing out to you?
Well, obviously this week you've got the sad news surrounding Alabama and Darius Miles getting kicked off the team after being charged with capital murder. And I believe it's said that he provided the gun in that case. We're not going to dive too deep into that, but Bama's the leader in the clubhouse right now. They're 6-0 in conference. They're ranked number 4 overall in KenPom with the number 12 offense and the number 6 defense. That's one of the best combinations in the country. Surprisingly, Tennessee is ranked higher. Tennessee is actually ranked higher in KenPom with the number 1 defense and the number 45 offense. So those are the two top dogs, but everything seems to be surrounding Alabama. Because they've been putting on a show this year, man. They've won 7 in a row. They're 16-2, and on top of those the KenPom figures I already said, they've got the number 2 strength of schedule. So they are 16-2 on a 7-game winning streak with one of the toughest schedules in America. I mean, they've beaten Houston, they've beaten Arkansas and Kentucky. They did lose to UConn on a neutral court, and they did lose at home to Gonzaga, but I mean, they have challenged themselves this year, and now they're just looking to run the table in the SEC.
They are a fun team. I unfortunately watched them absolutely boat race LSU 106-66, and I really was just like, what the heck is happening here? Brandon Miller just went absolutely off. The Tigers had no answer for him, and I just think it's a testament to what they've been able to build there as a culture and a brand, and that's one where you got to keep Oates. Like, you can't afford to lose him.
We talked about this last week.
He's a hot commodity.
He was my favorite for the Texas job, but I think that the unfortunate news from this week does put a little damper on that momentum in my mind, just because I'm not saying Nate Oates had any way of knowing or handling or anything to do with that. Just when stuff surrounds you, especially when Texas is getting out of the situation their previous coach got them in, it can be a little hairy.
I think it's going to be more intriguing to look at how he rallies the troops, how he keeps the morale, and how he does not let that become a distraction, because that's something that is nobody wants to ever have to deal with all the way around. It's just a horrible situation. But if you can keep your team focused and you can still be able to play at a high level without one of your key players and be successful, then that's going to make you still a hot commodity. And I think that's going to kind of defer the maybe negative attention he's getting. But if you're Alabama, man, you have to do everything in your power to keep that man in Tuscaloosa.
Yep. Raise the buyout, sign him to an extension, whatever you got to do, keep him there, because he's bringing in highly touted recruits. He's bringing in guys who want to run up and down the court, scoring the ball, playing exciting basketball. They've got the number 4 tempo in the nation, according to KenPom.
It's ridiculous.
Number 4. They scored 100 plus on LSU. It's fun basketball. It can be a little sloppy at times, but it's exciting. And then you go and you see the other top dog in the SEC, and it's kind of the opposite. They slow it down a little more, and they've got the number 1 defense in the nation. When Tennessee and Alabama meet on checks notes February 15th, that's going to be a game that probably decides a lot in the SEC race for the regular season.
As a basketball team, do you like the style, or what do you think the style benefits more nowadays? Is it that fast pace, or is it slowing it down, slugging it out, or is it just one of those where it's got to be matchup per matchup and any given night, that style could win.
I think, given the nature, and this might sound like a cop-out, given the nature of referees in college basketball, you have to be able to play the ugliest, slowest game well.
That's fair.
You can always be slowed down, whether it's by the other team or by the refs. It is very tough to speed up a team that badly wants to play slow. Like, go try and speed up Virginia. Try and speed up Virginia.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to.
You're not going to speed up Virginia. No, they're going to go. They're going to play their pack line defense. Once you miss a shot, they're going to walk the ball up the court. They're going to get into their half-court set. They're going to take their time. It's just how it goes.
I was thinking about this, and because there's a lot of talented coaches in the SEC, and if you were being recruited right now and you had to go to the SEC, is there one coach in particular that you're all in, like you're going to go play for that guy? And is there a guy out there that you're like, you know what? I don't care what your track record is. I do not want to be a part of your program.
Nate Oates could be fun. I would personally stay away from Calipari.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't.
No.
Maybe it's just like a personality vibe thing. I wouldn't do Calipari. I think you mentioned before the show, Bruce Pearl is one you would stay away from.
I'm not going near Bruce Pearl, and I'm not going near Calipari. I don't trust either one of those guys on or off the court.
It took me a minute to figure out who I was like, oh, wait, no, I'd play for him. But once I figured it out, I was like, yeah, I could see that. Buzz Williams.
What?
Yeah, Buzz Williams.
Why? Why Buzz?
The vibes are right, man. The vibes are just right with it. He's a hard-nosed guy, but he seems like he really loves the guys he brings in. He cares deeply. He seems like a good person trying to do his best and get the best out of his players. And overall, the style of basketball, I haven't watched A&M much this year, but the style I remember him having at Virginia Tech and bringing to Texas A&M is just, it's hard-nosed, but it's not too ugly.
That's interesting. I think if it was me, I would probably have to lean. Well, Nate Oates is obviously. I'm going to take him out of it because I would definitely go play for Nate Oates. I would play for Eric Musselman in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Musselman's a good one.
And Rick Barnes. Like, I think Rick Barnes got, like most Texas coaches, the raw end of a deal and has kind of gone on to flourish. That man knows how to coach basketball. He knows how to win. He knows how to build a solid foundation, and he can put guys in the league. Those are the two that I'm looking at that I would definitely give some consideration, but I would not go to Kentucky and I would not go to Auburn.
Garrett, I just got to ask, did Chris Beard get the raw end of any deal?
That's the one exception of the coach. That guy got exactly what was coming to him.
I'm just looking out for you because
that dude got exactly what was coming to him.
It's pretty fresh in the news, and I just wanted to have your back and clarify.
Got exactly what was coming to him and probably needs some more. But
looking back at Calipari and Kentucky, stuff it hasn't seemed right there lately over the last few years. And I don't know if he's missing on recruits or people are getting tired of his shtick.
I don't think so he's got the number one recruiting class coming in next season. But the problem with them is really their offense. While they have shooters who can shoot the lights out, he's not putting them in position to get the open shots. And
that's very interesting.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's maybe his ego is getting in the way. But he needs to kind of relinquish the X's and O's over to somebody else. Maybe get some youth in there to kind of relate to the guys, because it's what's happening right now is not working. When you have you
say all that, but over the last 4 years, including this year, he's only had an offense outside the top 25 in adjusted efficiency on KenPom once.
Okay, but I feel like right now when you look at the season, it's a bad look. It's starting to trend in the wrong direction. And if you go back and look at his track record, you've seen this happen over the course of his tenures everywhere he's been, whether it was at UMass or wherever else. It's always he wears thin on people you can only deal with Calipari and his ego for so long.
I agree with that. I just don't see that coming to fruition in the offense. I see it coming to fruition more in recruiting. I see it coming to fruition. The end of the one-and-done era in college basketball is what I think has Kentucky and Calipari where they're currently at. He was thriving with one-and-dones.
Oh, yeah.
Thriving with guys who weren't there long enough to get worn down by him.
Yeah, but that also led to them not having a consistent program year in and year out. Like you weren't able to build and sustain it. Like, it's cool. It's great that you're putting all these guys in the league and you have one title with all of that talent in 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, at some point you've got to look and say, I don't care about having a top 5 recruiting class for the rankings. I need to maybe have a top 15, top 20, but have people who can do their jobs. Because I think, like Scott Drew, what he's done. And and I'm a little nervous about that because I feel like he's kind of venturing off into these one-and-dones.
It can be an even lower-rated recruiting class, like fringe top 25, like Matt Painter.
Absolutely.
And he gets the guys he wants. He gets the guys who are right for his system, and they plug and chug. Choo-choo. Yeah,
to me, it's got to be about the right fit. But the SEC is going to be intriguing. Here in a couple weeks when you have the SEC Big 12 Challenge, I think it would be fun to really dive into that, kind of look at some of the matchups you're going to have going forward.
We'll definitely get a better idea of where the SEC as a conference is at, comparing it to the best conference in the land. And frankly, it might expose some teams in the Big 12.
Right.
Might. I doubt it personally, but
it's always
we'll
fun.
See where it goes.
It's always a good time when the SEC and the Big 12 get together on the hardwood. But that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you listening to the College Chaos podcast.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to the best games of last football season, but hey, tune in next time. It's going to be a good segment.
We're going to get that to you next time. Be sure to go and follow College Chaos Pod on Twitter. You can find me at _Garrett Ross on Twitter. Jack, where can they find you at?
At JackMac1998 on Twitter.
Hit my boy up. Give him a follow. Jacob Wilson, you shooting the shield. What did y'all have last night?
Last night we had RJ Ochoa on to talk a little bit about the Cowboys' win over the Buccaneers and looking at the matchup they got this week against the 49ers. We talked a little bit about the the landscape of the rest of the NFL going into the playoffs, that divisional round. We broke down the wild card weekend, and we did a little recast segment as well. It was Family Guy. Yeah,
nice.
Had a lot of fun. A little silly segment that we like to do every week, but. Yeah, Tuesdays at around 6:30. Tune into our Cowboys and NFL channels for Shooting the Shield with me and Tanner Carlson.
Be sure to check that out. Also, you got the Bearcast every Tuesday going live at noon. 365 Sports in the evening.
Yep. For the Bearcast, that's on our Baylor channel, Sick'em 365 on YouTube. And the main shows, obviously, found on the main channel, 365 Sports.
And get all your news on Baylor Bears at sick'em365.com. But that's going to do it for us today. Till next time, holler out, everybody.